Aloha and welcome to Issues That Matter. I'm Lynette Cruz. I'm your host. This is a program that's sponsored by the Anthropology program at Hawaii Pacific University. Welcome to our watching audience. Luckily, I have these two wonderful guests. I'm always lucky. I always have these really good guests. Across from me is Kamuela Kala'i, and then to my right is Ka'anohi Kaleikini. Welcome, ladies.
Hey, aloha.
I'm always happy to have women on the show because actually women have a lot more ease in talking about issues that are very difficult. The issue we're going to talk about today is one that's pretty intense and it's in the public eye quite a lot lately. So we're going to talk about what is going on at Kawaiaha'O Church with regard to burials that have been unearthed in the past. So there are iwi kupuna at the church, and also about the possibility that more may be uncovered in the very near future. But in order for us to actually have this discussion, and because we have a bunch of people who are joining us today who probably know zero, what I'd like you to do is two things. First, introduce yourselves, because people want to know how it is that you have the information you have, and then tell us what's going on at the church so that people have a better understanding of what it is that they see in the news or read in the paper. We'll start with you. I'll call you Kala'i if that's okay, because that's how I met you. Okay, go for it.
Aloha, my name is Kamuela Andrea Kapuanani Ali'iokama Kala'i. And the reason I'm involved in this issue is because I am a mo'opuna, the great-great-great-granddaughter of Reverend Moses Matthew Ku'aia, who was ordained at Kawaiaha'O Church in 1854. He was married there, and he served this church for 30 years of his life. And he is the kupuna that I have done the most research on when doing my mo'oku'auhau, my genealogy research. I just never really knew where he was buried. His wife is buried on the grounds of Kawaiaha'O Church, right behind Luna Little's crypt, and she's in a marked burial. And she died about 19 years after he passed away. And it just dawned on me on Christmas Eve, this last Christmas Eve, I just was thinking about it, and I was like, gosh, I wonder if he's part of those burials that are getting dug up, the iwi kupuna, and it just bothered me. It started bothering me from that day. And I just started to make phone calls. I started calling the DLNR, started calling anybody I could just to get information, get some background information. And it took me to the point today where I know absolutely, I'm sure in my gut, in my na'au, that he is buried somewhere in the area where the construction is taking place. I'm hoping that he hasn't already been dug up, but I don't know that for sure. So I just started to ask questions wherever I could. Went to the Office of Land Affairs to ask him if, well, first of all, I went to see Kahu Kekuna, Curtis Kekuna, who is the senior pastor at Kawaiaha'O, and asked him if I could please let him know who I am. And so I typed out a letter, pretty much telling him who I was, where I came from, and asking to please stop digging up iwi kupuna there. One of them could be my great-great-grandfather. And I'm against the digging up of iwi kupuna anywhere, but especially in this particular case because it's personal to me now. I just, I don't know, I got really intense about it. And Dawn Chang of Ku'iwalu, who's a PR firm, she was at this meeting too. And while I was reading the letter, I was crying my heart out. It's almost like I had to, for me to put personal information out to people that I've never met before was really difficult. So read the letter, cried through the whole thing, and just pretty much said, you know, you don't have my permission to dig up my great-great-grandfather, so I'm asking you, please stop, just stop. Don't do it anymore, and figure something else out for this building. They want to build a multi-purpose center on this site, and it is the site of the old, formerly Keke Hall, which was built in 1940, which, as I started to research this issue, I found out that 117 kupuna were dug up in 1940 for the building of this building. And they were moved to Kamo'ili'ili Cemetery. That cemetery was sold. Those iwi kupuna were moved again with all the iwi kupuna over there to another spot. Then they were all moved again one more time, cremated, and put back in Kawaiaha'O Church. So the moving of iwi kupuna and the sanctioning of digging up iwi kupuna by Kawaiaha'O Church they've set precedents back in 1940. Well, I wasn't here in 1940, but I'm here today. So when it dawned on me that my kupuna could be one of them, I just started to get really intense about making sure they knew that they don't have my permission to do this. So that day that I read the letter, I was kind of flabbergasted because Dawn Chang actually asked me after I finished my letter. She actually asked me, is there anything that we can do to make you feel better? Can we offer you to make you feel better? I just kind of looked at her like, I'm not sure what you could offer me, but you could stop digging up the iwi kupuna. That's all I'm asking for. And I was just amazed that she even could ask me that question. And then they asked me if I wanted to go visit the iwi kupuna. I didn't realize that they were in the basement of the church. And I said, why are they down there? And the answer for that was, well, they feel like the iwi kupuna are the foundation of the church, and so they belong. They're at the bottom of the bell tower. And I pretty much just said, you know what? If you're going to honor and respect the iwi kupuna here, they belong upstairs in the sanctuary. They don't belong downstairs. But anyway, they allowed me to go into the basement and visit them. And it was kind of shocking for me. I walked into this area that there's no air conditioning. You kind of go through this pathway, and then there's a door you walk through. And when you walk into this room, it's just, there's a room on one side with behind a caged door. There's shelves, and on these shelves there are lauhala baskets just sitting on the shelves behind a caged door with a chain around the door. And I was kind of in shock. I didn't know what to think or say or do except just look at these kupuna in these baskets and just, I made a promise to myself actually that day. I promised myself that I would get them out of there as soon as I possibly could. And then I looked on the other side of the room, and I was told by Dawn Chang that that was what they called the preparation room, where they prepared the iwi. And there was a whole bunch of baskets just stacked on that side of the room, empty baskets. And so I asked her, I said, what are you planning to do with the kupuna here in the basement? I said, they don't belong in the basement. She said, well, the thought was, when we're all done digging up all the kupuna, we'll put them all in one place at the same time. I said, I have a problem with that. There should be no more digging of iwi kupuna. I really have a problem with that. Can you please make sure that doesn't happen? And then I left, and I just felt in my heart just seriously sad. She even asked me the question on the way out. She goes, did you feel anything? Did the kupuna talk to you? I just looked at her like, no, I felt incredibly sad. I feel incredibly sad that they're there, and something needs to be done. And that was the end of that venture. And since then, I've been to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs several times to ask for their help, because they funded this project with over $1 million of beneficiary money. And they have some kuleana here to make sure that this heva, this wrong, is made right. So the other thing I've been involved in, Dana Naone Hall filed a lawsuit, which stopped the digging, pretty much stopped the digging. After they unearthed 69 iwi kupuna, 23 separate sites. And Kahuki Kuna told me this himself. There are 23 separate sites. And my question was, how do you go from hitting the very first site and not stopping before you hit 22 more sites? And they're saying it was unintentional, it's inadvertent. I don't know, it seems pretty intentional to me when you actually hit 23 more sites. And this was just trenching on the outside of the footprint, not even in the footprint of Likeke Hall, outside, trenching for a new sewer line. So I attended Dana Naone Hall's hearing the last 2 days. And on the last day, I listened in on the hearing. And it was just horrible, just listening to Dana Naone Hall's attorneys hit everything. They were on target, and they got shot down by Judge Carl Sakamoto on every point. Crystal Rose was the attorney for the church. And during the break, when I was outside in the hall, she actually came up to me and introduced herself to me. And I just grabbed her hand, and I asked her, I said, please do the right thing. That's all I'm asking you. And she said, I'll do the right thing. I looked at everybody in the eye, Kahuki Kuna, Dawn Chang. I met Frank Pistana, who is the Board of Trustees chairman. I said, do the right thing. And I looked at Frank Pastana. It was the first time I met him. I said, you know, my great-great-grandfather was a kahu there. He goes, yeah, mine too. I said, then you should know better. And it's just a really sad thing, really, really sad thing. Judge Sakamoto ruled against everything that Dana Hall would not have that she didn't have a case for a trial, so it just shot her down. And so that was very disappointing. And then it's just continued on from there to where I've met other supporters, other family members that have come forward. I continue to go to OHA meetings. I continue to write to them. I continue to ask them for help. And one of the things that we are asking for is ho'oponopono, for the church to at least meet us halfway. Meet us halfway at the table. Let us figure this out. We will help you figure this out. There's an answer. There's a solution to this. You don't have to disturb any more kupuna.
Well, let me just interrupt for a moment, because there have been some demonstrations at Kawaiaha'O Church, right? And we have a little short clip of some of what was going on there. I guess this was very recently, like a week ago, which might explain a little bit about what's been going on and why people have gathered at Kawaiaha'O on certain days.
Aloha mai kako. Ova Ozi. I'm here in support of my kupuna, and we're here supporting the ma'alama of our iwi kupuna, who are being desecrated right now. Our kupuna said, "Mai kaula ivale ika iwi o na kupuna." Never dry out in the sun the bones of our ancestors. And so that's what we're here for, is to show our love for our ancestors. Mahalo.
Yes, today what happens in the church?
Well, the church is having a meeting with their congregation. I believe it's about the issue with the iwi kupuna, and I just wanted to sit in and listen, and I was told to leave or I'd be arrested for trespassing. So I told them, well, I just want to listen, and then it got a little heated with other members coming and asking me to leave, so I left, and I just wanted to listen to hear what they're going to say.
What did the police officers tell you?
Oh, they said that I'm fine outside. I just couldn't be in the church at the meeting, so it's okay. They took my information down, and it's like the third or fourth police officer I've talked to so far, so it's okay. It's okay. I just wanted to listen, but I guess maybe it was a closed meeting, so it's okay. It's okay.
What have you heard in regards to what is going to be discussed in the meeting or what's happening?
Well, supposedly the church is supposed to release a statement about what they plan to do. What is the next steps? And we're sincerely hoping that they're going to stop excavations and meet with the families to ho'oponopono. But we don't know until they make their statement, which is why I wanted to sit in on the meeting, because I think that's what they're doing, is explaining to the congregation what they're going to be releasing to the press. But we won't know that until they release their statement. So,
what are your guys' frustrations? I know it's obviously the care for the iwi, the construction project itself.
Well, it's more than the care of the iwi. It's stop digging up iwi, period. Just stop digging them up. They've already disturbed 69 unnecessarily. They have a number of them still in the basement of the church for over a year. That's just wrong on so many levels. And I don't want any more digging of kupuna, and we're asking them to meet with us as families, concerned families, and can we possibly talk about redesigning the building so you don't have to disturb the kupuna. And they haven't been open to that yet. They haven't not included the families in any of the decision making at all. None of them. So we're just waiting for their next steps, so we know what our next steps will be.
As far as what has happened from the first protest you guys had till now, has there been any changes or updates or progress?
This is the latest update, and we are trying to get OHA to intervene because the Office of Hawaiian Affairs funded this project with $1.5 million, so they have some responsibility to make sure that those monies were used the way they said they were going to be used. And I think it was as a result of that meeting with the Office of Hawaiian Affairs that they are coming out with their statement today, which we don't know what that is until they make it. So That's the only progress. There hasn't been any construction or excavation yet, but they could start up anytime. They really could. They said they're not going to do anything this week, but we're just vigilant and watching because we've already had to jump in and stop the shovels once. And we're ready to do that again if the shovels come out.
What is, I guess, the best resolution that would satisfy you folks?
Right now is Ho'oponopono. We're asking the church to put the shovels down, meet us halfway, sit at the table, and let's figure this out together because we can help them figure this out. We can all make it right. We don't have to keep going down this road of desecration. That's not necessary. So that's all we want. The church just so far has not been open to meeting with us at all. So.
That's actually a really good clip, and I want to talk a little bit more about Ho'oponopono, but before we do that, I actually want to ask Ka'anohi to introduce herself as well and to kind of tell us where you come into all of this and what your connection to these burials and other burials has been over time.
Aloha, my name is Ka'anohi Kalekini. I'm a cultural practitioner. I have family buried in the Kawaiaha'O cemetery that are marked. It's a tomb that those burials are marked. And also I have kupuna buried in the footprint of the anticipated multi-purpose building. And so my purpose there is to protect the iwi that are still in situ, and that to prevent any more desecration, because in the burial plot belonging to my family, there are at least 4 more burials there. So I want to prevent them from being disturbed. I was involved with the discussion regarding this project at Kawaiaha'O in 2006. That's when it first started. But I could see where the church was not going to take any of our mana'o to heart.
Even back there in 2006?
Even back there when the kuka just started. I objected. There were about 2 other families that objected. And of course, they just disregarded our mana'o. For them, it was just a process that they had to, a requirement that, oh, please talk to your family.
It's like a consultation, right?
Yes.
A telephone call will do.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and like Shipti said, like, oh, you have to consult with the family. So they were just going through the process. It didn't mean that they had to take our mana'o to heart, as long as they had their consultation. And I could see them moving ahead. They were going to just take out whatever they could to move this project along. And then the lawsuits came that halted the work for a while, and now they're given the green light to go. They actually, they can start any day.
So the project started, or the one that you're talking about, started in 2006.
That's when the kuka sessions with the ohana started.
But the iwi that are in the basement now, were they there already?
They were taken out soon after the kuka started.
I see.
Yeah, so they were there before the lawsuits came in.
Okay, so then we can fast forward then a little bit. So we're here today, and I saw you also, your photos have popped up here and there as being part of this ongoing resistance to continued digging. Mm-hmm. And the last thing that you said had to do with how to bring parties together so that you can actually have meaningful dialogue. And already you said that in a way that had already started, but there was no meaningful dialogue, right. Possibly because Office of Hawaiian Affairs wasn't at that table, because that money hadn't yet been allocated to them, right?
Right.
So you're really talking right now about what you think can be done. So I want to hear a little bit more, and I'm sure everybody who's watching would like to know today, tomorrow, next week, mm-hmm. What is it that you want to have happen, and how can it happen?
Well, we'd like to bring this, to have resolution here. Ho'oponopono would be one way. The church has refused Ho'oponopono. They want mediation.
Explain the difference.
Ho'oponopono is a cultural, aspect of, where we can talk about it. We'll put your feet to the fire. Where it would require them to be truthful and open, but I'm not sure they're able to do that. And
this is a Hawaiian church we're talking?
Yes.
Okay, Hawaiian church maybe refusing a Hawaiian process?
Yeah. And they want mediation, but it's a legal process, and it should not be used in Hawaiian cultural, dialogue. I don't think nobody will listen to us, and we could be preaching to the choir, and they're not going to listen. But yet we know that the church has offered ho'oponopono to Abigail Kawaiaha'O.
And her connection is?
She filed the lawsuit, so they offered her ho'oponopono before her lawsuit went through. So why not us?
By the way, just so for some clarification, because her name hasn't come up thus far in the discussion, she filed a lawsuit because they were unearthing burials of her ancestors in that same area?
Her family burial plot was threatened with, possibility of encroaching on that plot for the project.
So she filed a lawsuit, and the settlement was?
That it's going to stop right there at the edge of the family plot.
She get name, more.
There you go, and money.
Okay.
And money to file the lawsuit.
Okay, so that gets settled, moving right along.
Moving right along.
And then there's the rest of you.
Yeah. And also alongside the same side as Abigail Kawaiaha'O's family plot is the plot of Kawaiaha'O. His kupuna is right there too, and there's the trench for the sewer trench right there. So that's cause for huge concern for his family. Why should it go alongside his family plot and not hers? Why does it stop right there?
Well, because somebody recognizes that name possibly, and then you're right, lots of resources behind there.
Yes.
So okay to have sewer on this side, but not here.
Yeah.
So are you saying that already the footprint itself is changed? That is to say, the original plan has already been amended?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. And then?
And so there is, I understand there is discussion that the church is looking into redesign. But, that's another thing. That's why we want to be involved in this discussion of redesign. Okay, that's the reason why we want Ho'oponopono, so we can be included. But they just staying away from us. They don't want to be.
Inclusion has some criteria. Do you have to then be like a member of the church? Or, you're included whether you like it or not, because your ancestors are, you're connected to that place.
We should be.
But you're not really included.
No.
Well, we've actually personally asked Kahukikuna. Ka'anohi and I both went and talked to him one day, and it kind of seemed like he might be a little open to the idea of redesign, maybe a little bit open to the idea of ho'oponopono, but he always would constantly go, well, it's not in my hands. I got to go check. I have committees, I have congregation members I have to check with. It's okay, go check with whoever you got to check with, get back to us. And he never has. And the day the shovels came out, that was a big day for me. I got the phone call at 6.
When was that? Tell me the date.
Oh, that was February, but I want to say it was like the 18th or the 19th.
Okay,
it was like mid-February.
Yeah,
And I got a really early phone call from Halialoha asking me, where are you? I'm like, I'm at home. Where are you? And who is this? I didn't even know it was him. He goes, I'm right by my tutu's grave, and I'm watching the archaeologists, and they have their shovels. I was like, what? He goes, you didn't get the call? I said, no, nobody told me. I said, I'll be right there. So I went right up to town. I live in Kaneohe, right up to town. Walked up to the church stairs, because they're on one side of the church, you can walk up to the stairs. And I looked over, and there they were. It's about 5 archaeologists walking around, measuring tapes, shovels in their hands. And I just immediately started just to call out to them, like, what are you doing? And they looked at me. I'm like, and who are you? And what are you doing? I said, put those shovels down now. And they guys looked at me like, who are you? I said, who's in charge of this project? And they pointed to Donald Kaindeck. So I looked at him. I said, Mr. Kaindeck, I said, what are you doing? He goes, oh, we have a contract. We're going to continue with excavations. I was like, what? I said, after all, we've asked you folks not to do this. Oh no, we have to, it's legal, the injunction got lifted, we're gonna. I started yelling at him, started yelling at everybody. All of the archaeologists kind of walked off the site or walked off to the side. One was left there with a shovel. He went chonk, chonk. Halialoha went boom, boom, jumped over. I ran around, and then I had a little confrontation with that person because he refused to put his shovel down.
And I just couldn't believe it. And I told him, I said, this was your grandmother. Would you be digging her up? Would you let somebody dig her up? And he looked at me, he said, well, it depends. I said, on what? I said, where is your grandmother? He goes, in Oakland, California. I said, then you go dig her up or you go talk to her. This is my grandfather you're talking about. You're going to dig up my grandfather right now. You tell him you're going to dig him up. And he just kind of stood there, he didn't know what to say. And then the church sent some of their officials out to talk to us. And then we were pretty much told that if we didn't get off the property, they would call HPD and we'd be arrested. So we called HPD first. Then they called HPD, and there was an impasse because they are violating the terms of the permit. And I had paperwork to show it. And so there was an impasse, but basically we called a timeout that day. And actually, Halealoha asked Kahukikuna when he came out, he goes, I thought you said that we were going to be able to ho'oponopono. He goes, oh, well, we never really said that we would, but yeah, we're willing to ho'oponopono, but we still have to go through with the excavations. Halealoha said, he said, no, you have to put the shovels down, otherwise there's no ho'oponopono. Oh, no, we have to continue with the project. You know, we are legally, we can do this. He said, there's no ho'oponopono unless you got to put all the weapons down. Right now the shovel is the weapon. So that was kind of a standoff, and from that point on, when Kahukikuna made it clear that they are going to continue with the excavations, that is when Kanikapu, and that's when we had the big protests, because they said they would continue digging.
People did come out to that, didn't they?
Yes.
And so now is a good time for us to get back to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, because you did mention the fact that there were certain monies that were put towards the construction of this new building.
Yes.
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 And yet having people come out and protest is really about beneficiaries saying
Exactly.
no. What's been the outcome of that?
They're still looking into it. Dana Naonihawa has done a wonderful job of analyzing the contract, the OHA contract, and has actually pointed out to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs all the different terms. They've already violated several terms. The contract has expired. It's gone. It's POW. That contract, those monies are supposed to go for an actual building. There's no building there right now. We did find out that 120,000 of those monies went to pay Don Chang of Ku'iwalu. It's a PR firm whose job was to do outreach to the families. Another $90,000 went to pay for a sanctuary window in the church. And so that's beneficiary monies that are being used.
And those are the beneficiaries that are right there on camera right now.
Yes.
And I'm sure that many of them don't even know any of this stuff.
No.
The fact, in fact, well, only because I watched some of the stuff on YouTube, you know, things that have been running about this issue.
Right. The information has been forwarded to, yeah.
So you have a whole bunch of people who are out there basically saying, don't dig up anymore, but they don't really know the history of, and who's been sponsoring or supporting this effort to dig up more, right?
Yes, in fact, it was after this protest, the same day, the Office of Hawaiian Affairs had their Board of Trustees meeting, and a lot of us went to the trustees meeting, and that is where testimony was read by two former Kawaiaha'O church trustees that disclosed financial information that shows the church has no money left to even build their construction, to build their multipurpose center. The Attorney General's office was asking questions because the state of Hawaii also funded this venture with $1 million bunch.
And it also detailed how funds were being misappropriated.
Misappropriated, exactly.
I love it when they use words like misappropriation. Does that mean that somebody has a requirement, or do they have to fix it? I mean, if you're going to say something like that,
it's hard to fix after the money's been spent already.
Yes.
But yeah, they did. They were supposed to follow the contract. And so, you know, now we're hoping that, you know, OHA will call them out. And
so when we're looking at this, what I see is Kalekua and Andre and Kale and a whole bunch of other people who are, I think, basically saying somebody has to take responsibility for this, and we need to all head over to OHA and let them know that they have a part of that responsibility. So then I'll ask you right now, what has been their response?
Well, I'm still waiting for an actual response from the Office of Foreign Affairs. We've attended several meetings.
Waiting from whom? Who are you asking?
The Office of Foreign Affairs.
The Board of Trustees?
The Board of Trustees,
Yes.
Clyde Namu'o. I've even met with Esther Kia'aina. Anybody who will talk to me, basically. And we actually met with Trustee Apo also, you know.
Okay, these are all Hawaiians, right?
All Hawaiians, all
Okay,
Hawaiians.
so what's the problem then?
They say the lawyers are looking into the legalities of the contract. They're looking it over. So I'm not sure how long that takes. OHA actually can use the leverage of the contract to just say, wait a minute, you need to stop everything, come to the table, meet with the families. They haven't done that yet.
Yeah,
They're
say
just
they
dragging their feet.
They can't force them to ho'oponopono, but what they can do is at this point cut off any more funding. I think there's about like $25,000 that
Left?
to send out to the church, so they can, you know, like
That's like a drop.
stop. Compared to $1.5 million, which has already been spent, and so they can do that, stop, you know, the final payment, or you know, and they can even, I think, if they find proof that money has been misappropriated, maybe even demand the money back.
They can. There's a clause in the contract that says we can get the money back if you do not fulfill your requirements of this contract, and Dana pointed that out to them very clearly. Very, very clearly.
Is there a reason why the argument that's being responded to is really responding to a legal issue as opposed to a moral one or a cultural one?
I think it's both. I think it's both, because they understand, the trustees understand the whole Ho'oponopono concept, you know.
And that's why nobody wants to do it, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
nobody, you know, so they understand that. But then they also have to consider the legal side too, because, you know, their involvement in giving the funds.
That is true. But I guess well, even the church is using a legal argument, is it not?
Yes.
So what I'm saying is the church is not an ordinary body. There really is a kind of moral requirement on the church.
The way I see it, is no longer a church. They're a business. They are a 501c3. Actually, they are a federal entity, not a church. You know, so they should be treated as a federal organization.
It's kind of like a hospital is a business as opposed to
they're a business.
About providing health care?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Got that.
Exactly.
You know, because they can go out and get grants anywhere, even from the federal government, you know, as a 501c3.
Yeah, and if we want to talk about moral issues, so
I
one of the
do.
things Kahukikuna has said on camera and to me is that these are all Christian burials. And that was another ruling that Judge Sakamoto said, these are not Native Hawaiian burials, these are Christian burials. Like, it makes it any better to dig up Christians than it does to dig up Native Hawaiians. But Kahukikuna's spin on it is, as Christians, we believe that the spirit goes to heaven and the bones go to dust. And it's the spirit that counts. And these people gave up their lives for Kawaiaha'O once already. They would be more than glad to do it again. And so I have a problem with that as a Christian, because I believe every part of us is sacred. When Christians are buried, the bones are consecrated, the ground is sanctified, everything is blessed. So if the bones didn't mean anything, I think we'd just be throwing them any old place. The bones mean something. And for him to say, as a kahu is the person supposed to take care of your flock, not dig them up, yeah? But to say that in the name of Christianity, that this is okay to do, to me, is the epitome of anti-Christianity. I'm not sure what kind of Christianity he's talking about. That is not the Christ that I learned to believe in. Jesus Christ is about love and aloha, bottom line. Anything else after that is secondary. So to say that this is a Christian burials and it's okay, these are members of the church that plan to stay there forever. And some of them aren't members of the church. They're not all Christian burials. That
like
place
my
was a
family,
cemetery, before the church was built.
Right, when he said that there were only members of the church buried there, you know, I disagreed with him right away, because like members of my family that are buried there were not members of the church. In fact, they weren't even Christians. They were just, they were family to the Ali, and they were given that plot to bury their family. So, you know, I had to disagree with that right away. I even have Ohana in there, who was a member of the Board of Trustees, but he was not a Protestant, he was a Catholic. You know, So
your recommendation might be for the pastor or whoever happens to be the spokesperson to get their information straight? And basically, it's
Yes,
kind of
yes.
what it sounds
And then-
like. It's not borne out by history.
right, and then they quoted the deed by Kamehameha III that the Kahu like to refer to that deed that Kamehameha III gave them the land for the church to worship their Jesus Christ and this and that. Well, yeah, maybe the deed did say that. It did say that. I have a copy of the deed, but it didn't give them any permission to take up any ancestral remains. You know, and that's one thing. The Ali would never give permission like that. I mean, he wasn't even a Christian. You know, Kamehameha III wasn't even a Christian. He gave them that lot in the hopes that they would do the right thing. You know, for goodness, that's why he gave it to them. But, you know, not because he was a Christian, and he would never give them permission to dig up his own family. You know, his own family was there. So.
Okay, so we kind of, I'm going to go back to the beginning because earlier when we talked, you identified and I understood there to be actually two different issues here. One of them has to do with the EV that are in the basement now, and what would be a desired outcome for those EV that are in the basement now. That's one thing. And then the second issue has to do with the EV that are still in the ground that have the very great potential to be dug up very soon. And what would be a good resolution for that. So can you address both things? First, the EV in the basement, they're there. What's the recommendation of how that should be handled now?
The kupuna in the EV kupuna in the basement will need to go to be put back as soon as possible. They are visiting the idea of having the wahi in the Lunalilo tomb area, but they're still discussing that. They have a whole new Na-Iwi committee that will handle that, and that's one thing Kala'i and I wanted to get involved in. We wanted to be a part of this committee, and we asked several times that we wanted Ohana to be on this committee because they're our kupuna, and we should be involved, but they have totally kept us out. And that is one of the meetings that Kala'i and I was escorted out a couple of weeks ago. We tried to, get in there, and they called the police and escorted us out. And all we wanted to do was sit down and listen and to see if they had any real plan.
And to see if you could help?
To see if we could help and at least give our input so that they do it right this time.
What do you think is going on? Is there fear on their part or what? Why are they cutting you off? Why are they doing that? You're dangerous.
We are. We're a threat to their mana'o, I think, and how they believe things should be done, and we know we don't want it the way they're going to be done,
Are we talking about a clash of culture?
Yes.
I mean, let's face it, they may be a Hawaiian church, but are they American by culture? Have they kind of moved away from the idea of what is culturally appropriate to what is now culturally appropriate to them, which is different?
Yes. I mean, just look at the comments that the kahu has made. It's okay to move them,
Yeah. And, for me, at some point, it's not even about culture. It's not about ethnicity. This is a human issue. Everybody who passes and is laid to rest somewhere deserves to stay there forever. So some people talk about the missionary graves right in the back of the church. They're in a very nice ho'omalu area on the big trees. They have fenced in, gorgeously manicured, nice area. Huge tombstones, all beautifully marked. And I walk back there sometimes and I actually ask these kupuna to please, can you talk to your grandchildren and your descendants and ask for help? Because I'll defend their right to stay where they're at because they're babies in this graveyard. They had nothing to do with this. It's a human issue. And my thing is, why are our iwi kupuna any less respected and any less honored than anybody in a marked grave? That's just wrong. And our iwi kupuna are under attack everywhere, everywhere. Just because they're old and even more so, over 100 years old, you deserve even more honor and respect. You did your time. And they keep saying they're inadvertent, they're unknown, unintentional. Well, I'm sorry. They belong to somebody. They have ohana.
Maybe the ohana don't know. It's been so long. I don't know where my kupuna is buried. I know he's there somewhere. There's so many unknown burials, but got plenty marked burials too. The point is, rest in peace forever. It's what you deserve. You know, your time is pau. Without our kupuna, we're nothing. They are the foundation of our lahui, period. We're nothing without them, because where did we come from? So if we don't honor and respect and help protect, keep them where they're at, we lost. So I think we have to, for me, I have to counter that anytime I hear it. And at the last OHA meeting I was at, one of the kupuna actually stood up and he said, well, you know, we got construction going on all the time. We just got to dig up the graves. And this is a kupuna I used to respect. He used to stand up for issues that, you know, were pretty pono, I thought. I could not believe my ears. And I just had to look around like, did I hear right? And the sad part is that I think he actually believes it. And for me, that's very kamaha. Very sad because, ooh.
Sounds like what you're saying is that they're in the way.
Yeah.
That's why they got to move.
That's what
They're in the way.
Well, it's not just the dead people, you know, it's the live ones too. I think all of us.
We're in
the way right now. We're in the way. Yeah.
So in regards to the kupuna in the basement, yeah, we're looking for a quick resolve to get them back into the ground, yeah. But it's still waiting for now for the Na'ivi committee to get it going.
But also because you want to be a participant in the process of making that decision?
Yes, that too.
Yes, okay, so that's primary. So it's not just about them getting a plan together, but getting a plan together that involves you because you have the vested interest.
Yeah, same like, you know, they're talking about redesign, then we want to be included. Absolutely, before we shoot down their design again. And then, you know, they start saying, oh, wow, we can't please these people. Everything we're going to be doing is like, but then, you know, that's what they get for not including us in the first place.
I hope they're watching because, you know, that sounds pretty common sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so inclusion, which is not far-fetched, and then coming up with something that will work for everyone, I think is reasonable.
Yeah.
What about the other thing?
The other thing is preventing any more desecration, preventing any more, you know, preventing the shovels from going in. And so we're looking towards, we were hoping for Ho'oponopono. We can work towards a resolution, redesign, and if there isn't a redesign that will be able to keep our kupunas in place without desecration, then maybe they have to scrap this project altogether. And we're, you know, either build a level building where they won't have to go digging down any true burials, or you know, since they have other real estate buildings close by that they can use for their meetings or whatever they're going to use it, the multi-purpose building for, they can use that and just plant grass over the whole area and make it a preservation area and keep it as a cemetery like it was.
Is that going to happen, you think? Well, what are you prepared to see that happens?
We're going to continue to converse with them to see if we can work towards a resolution. And we're there every Sunday, you know, to hold signs and peaceful protests and outside of the church, lining up on King Street and Punch Bowl. We meet at 8:30 at the Ahu at Iolani Palace, and then we march over with our signs.
And everybody's invited to come.
Oh,
right?
yes, absolutely.
Okay. It has occurred to me that when you were talking about resolution for the potential unearthing of burials, that what what that translates to is money, because the resolution in terms of a redesign is not free, right? And so it would cost some money. So one of the things perhaps that you could do would be to ask OHA to withhold whatever monies are left with the promise of providing more funds if a redesign could be created that was inclusive of those who were there, so everybody could sit at the table, so that may be part of a Ho'oponopono process, part of it's something. The idea, I guess, being to go with a plan.
Yes.
Yeah. There is actually already a makua, a parent of a Punanaleo student who actually has a plan and actually has an architect drawing up a plan.
And she was given a vision by one of the kupuna there, and by Lunalilo himself, actually.
Oh, that's the best kind.
Yeah.
And she shared it with
She
the
shared it
church.
with us. She actually shared it with Trustee Stender, and Trustee Stender tried to get a meeting with the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, the Lunalilo Home Trustees, to sit down and listen to this story. It's an incredible story. Everybody showed up except the church. And they said that because the case was still in litigation, that they couldn't not discuss anything. She's actually having a professional drawing of the design for this place, and it's actually a beautiful design.
Well, if it came from kupuna, then obviously it's a timely thing.
Yes.
So Trustee Stender is really to be congratulated for stepping in.
Trying to, yeah.
Is there support from others of the trustees at OHA, to your knowledge?
I don't think the plan has been presented to the Board of Trustees, just to Trustee Stender, because this particular makua and Trustee Stender's daughter were friends.
Yeah.
So she told her father about it, and they had a discussion. And
But I wasn't talking about the plan necessarily. I was just talking about how they feel.
they've
About
been so
resolution.
quiet about it. I think only one
It's
or
too political.
one
Is that
or
what you're
two
saying?
have
Oh.
said. One is well, first one said, "Oh, ho'oponopono is too long. Let's do mediation." And they said,
Yeah.
"Oh no,
Yeah.
let's do
How's
ho'oponopono. That's
that?
very
You know,
cultural."
and then they hold when OHA has their when they have they hold all their services at the church. So
Yes, they do.
Mm-hmm.
Ho'oponopono is too long.
Too long. How's
Yeah.
that?
Take
You know
too
what? It
long
is too long, but the benefits are tremendous.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
and worth it.
Yeah.
To take the time. You have to take the time to make it right.
Boy, I think that all of us are learning a lot just by being privy to process or lack thereof. And we can see what's really needed in terms of how you deal with issues in a way that won't come back to bite you. Because right now it looks like for the church and even for OHA to proceed in a particular direction is going to cost. Because. But it doesn't have to be that way. And that's what I'm getting from listening to you guys, that as a matter of fact, the idea of Ho'oponopono is to bring forth alternative plans and to have a seat at that table so you can talk about it.
Exactly.
And I also don't want to leave out the fact that the state has also given the church $1 million for this project.
And that money got spent how? Or is it done already?
No,
Oh.
no. But
So I mean, it hasn't been allocated and they didn't get any money yet?
I think it's in the process, or they were supposed to be getting it anytime soon. But I think with all this erupting, that may bring a halt to it.
There's some serious questions about some misappropriations of funds there too. And one of the former trustees actually testified to that at the OHA Board of Trustees meeting. There's questions about
A former trustee of the church?
the church.
Okay.
Yeah, came forward with disclosures about the concerns. He had concerns. He's on the multipurpose center committee, and he wanted to know where the money was coming from. Where are we getting all this extra money? So he started asking. He couldn't get it from his own people, so he asked the Attorney General to do an investigation. There was an investigation. So
That's scary.
yeah, it's scary. It's very scary.
Yeah,
And
the $1 million was appropriated by the Lingua administration. So I'm
Yeah.
sure Abercrombie will be looking into that.
Okay, so you
How
can
that
see a
happened.
point of intercession.
yeah,
If you wanted
yeah.
to kind of figure out who was giving what to whom and how that money is being spent.
Well, there have even been attempts to meet with Governor Abercrombie also, and I'm not sure if that meeting was set up yet.
By whom?
By Halealoha, and he went through Judge Heen to see if they could get an appointment with Abercrombie. My fear is that I actually believe that this is not even about a multipurpose center anymore. I believe this is about the sanctioning of the digging up of Iwi Kupuna to set precedent for any developer or banker waiting in the wings to get their project going. The rail project is a big one, but the only thing standing in the way of a lot of these developments is a bunch of bones. And if Kawaiaha'O can get away with this, like Kaleikoa said, if this goes through, this would be the largest uncovering of Iwi Kupuna since Honokahua. Up to 300.
Up to 300.
Minimum
Maybe
300
minimum
now,
300.
probably more than that. Because this project they want to build has to go all the way down to the water table. It's a 2-story monster of a building. They got to go all the way down to the water table.
And not only EV of members are there. There are EV from kupunas that lived there before the church even existed. You know, I mean, yeah.
Exactly. And I have a cousin, Onauna Mali, who's been doing a lot of research, and
she's actually found, you know, back in the day, you know, this conversation was happening already back in the day, in the 1800s, 1900s. People wanted to move Evi around because they saw the value of the land. There were Evi everywhere because of the epidemics of the plague, smallpox epidemic. So our people were dying by the hundreds, you know, and they were being buried there. These were all cemeteries. So as the population grew, businesses grew, they want to move Evi. So our Evi have been moved time and time again, and it's power already. I say enough already. That's enough. That is enough. And for the Ali'i Church to sanction this and to say it's okay and to get away with it, to me, is the worst of the worst ever, I believe. Because even more heart-wrenching is our own people that are saying it's okay. You know, so I'm not too sure what their kupuna would say, but I've told each and every one of them, you need to go talk to your kupuna. Go check in with them and find out. Check it out with them.
And tell them you need to talk to
Yeah,
your
exactly.
They need
Exactly.
cracks.
It's very sad. Very sad. But I'm ready. I'm willing to jump through fences, jump over trenches, do what I got to do. And the message to Oha was, my thing is, I want peaceful resolution. I want ho'oponopono. That is what we are looking towards. I don't want to have to jump through a fence and have to wrestle a shovel out of somebody's hand. But people are willing to do that, and we will do it because it's the right thing to do.
Well,
We have to do it.
it's a high calling to do the right thing.
Yes.
And if that's all you're asking, is for people to do the right thing, and what you get is resistance, you can bet that the right thing has already left their mind. It's not about the right thing. It's something else that's going on. It might be economic benefit. It might be, I don't know, any number of things, but it's not about doing the right thing. That's something else.
Because it's, you know, if it starts pono, it'll end pono, but it's already not starting pono. So if I was them, I you know, think
That's why
about
it's scary.
it. Scary.
Because it requires a lot of undoing, and nobody wants to go there. I mean, I know this for a fact from other things that I do. You have to go back and to the fork in the road and basically take the right path, because the wrong one was taken before. So we're kind of like running out of time. So let me just ask you for like final thoughts about the future. I know that you said that you'll be down at the church on Sundays, gather at 8:30 at the Aho at Iolani Palace grounds, and from there proceed across the street, because they have regular services at 9 o'clock, and it's not a bad idea to give people information about what's going on, because lots of people don't know. So that's kind of like, I think, a high calling. If you want to give information, that's it, give it, and people can choose to do whatever they want with it, but they can't say that they didn't know. So that's like the short-term thing, but there should be a mid and a long-range kind of plan thing that you see happening in the fairly near future. What?
Well, we've addressed the issue to Department of Land and Natural Resources, State Historic Preservation Division, the State Attorney General's Office, Department of Health, that they should pull back, rescind the permit, because now we have known burials. So there will be descendants coming forward, so it would shed a new light on it. And, you know, the permit was to deal with unknown burials. So, you know, that already should, that's a, you know, heads up that it should be going back to the state venue. And there is also some information that just came through about State Historic Preservation Division had asked for an archaeological inventory survey. I may be wrong in the year, but 2005. So if, you know, that is the case, then they should have been doing the survey, and all these burials would be previously identified instead of inadvertence where they can just move the burials. So this would shed a new light on the whole thing, you know, and that's one thing that could evolve, I think, in the near future.
Kalai.
Well, my thing is, let's just make this right. I think anybody can turn around at any time of the day and just make it right. And I don't care what you did yesterday. I only care what you're going to do from this moment on. And if you're going to help us make it right, let's do it. If you're going to stand in my way, then get ready to rumble, because I'm not going to let anybody dig up kupuna if I can possibly avoid it.
You got your kuleana. It's really funny too, because I know that in exercise or kuleana, when you exercise it, it's not always something that you direct yourself to do. Basically, somebody calls you and says, do this. What kind of choices do you have? I wanted to thank you both for joining me. It's been really kind of intense, and I'm hoping that people will call. I think that your phone number and email address are on the end slate. Thank you guys for joining us. This is like one of those really never-ending topics, and it only seems like we might find resolution at Kawaiaha'O Church, but we don't know. We don't know what the future looks like. Mahalo to Ka'anohi, and to you, Kala'i. I'm Lynette Cruz. Thank you for joining us. This is Issues That Matter. See you again.